Personal protective equipment. OSHA requires the employer to protect their employees from workplace hazard through the use of engineering or work practice controls. When these controls are not feasible or do not provide sufficient protection, the use of personal protective equipment is required. Types of PPE: head protection, eye and face protection, respiratory protection, heating protection, hand protection, foot and leg protection, body protection. PPE training requirements. Each employee who is required to use PPE must be trained to know when PPE is necessary, what PPE is necessary, how to properly put on, take off, adjust, and wear the PPE, the limitation of the PPE, proper care, maintenance, useful life, and disposal of PPE. Personal protective equipment, PPE. Managers must use the hazard assessment for PPE to see if their employees need to use PPE by identifying activities that may create hazards for their employees. The hazard assessment tool can also serve as a written certification that managers have done it as required by WAC 296-800-16010 document. Some types of personal protective equipment are safety glasses, respiratory protection, safety gloves, steel-toe boots, safety helmet, ear protection. If you are doing these activities, abrasive blasting, chopping, cutting, drilling, welding, punch press operations, then you might be exposed to airborne dust, flying particles, blood splashes, hazardous liquid, chemicals, intense light. Please use the following PPE: safety glasses, safety goggles, shading filter, welding shield, side shields, dust light goggles. Safety glasses. This form of eye protection is required by employers to provide for employees when exposed to eye hazards from flying particles, molten metal, liquid chemicals, acid or caustic liquids, chemical gases or vapors, or potential injuries like radiation. If you are doing these activities, cleaning, cooking, siphoning, painting, deep tank operations, foundry work, welding, mixing, pouring molten metal, then you might be exposed to hazardous liquid, chemicals, extreme heat cold, potential irritants. Please use the following PPE: face shield, shading, filter, welding shield. Face masks. OSHA generally recommends that employers encourage workers to wear cloth face covering at work to help reduce the spread of COVID-19. Incorporate at 6 feet of physical distancing. Evaluate the feasibility of covering cloth face coverings for each worker and consider alternatives when appropriate. If you are doing these activities, building maintenance, confined space operations, construction electrical wiring, walking, working under catwalk, walking, working under conveyor belts, walking, working under crane loads, utility work, then you might be exposed to beam pipes, exposed electrical wiring or components, falling objects, machine parts. Please use the following PPE: protective helmet, type A, type B, type C, bump cap, hairnet or soft cap. Safety helmet. This form of head and eye protection is required by employers to provide for employees where there is a possible danger of head injury from impact, or from falling or flying objects, or from electrical shock and burns, shall be protected by protective helmets. Hands and arms. If you're doing these activities, baking, cooking, grinding, welding, working with glass, using computers, using knives, dental and healthcare services, material handling, sanding, sewing, hammering. Then you might be exposed to blood, irritating chemicals, tools or materials that could scrape, bruise, or cut, extreme heat, cold. Please use the following PPE: gloves, chemical resistance, liquid leak resistance, temperature resistance, abrasion, cut resistance, slip resistance, protective sleeves. Safety gloves. Employers shall select and require employees to use appropriate hand protection when employees' hands are exposed to hazards such as those from skin absorption or harmful substances, severe cuts or lacerations, severe abrasions, punctures, chemical burns, thermal burns, and harmful temperature extremes. If you're doing these activities, building maintenance, construction, demolition, food processing, foundry work, logging, plumbing, trenching, use of highly flammable materials, welding, then you might be exposed to explosive atmospheres, explosives, exposed electrical wiring or components, heavy equipment, slippery surface, tools. Please use the following PPE: safety shoes or boots, toe protection, electrical protection, puncture resistance, anti-slip soles, leggings or chaps, foot-leg guards, metatarsal protection, heat-cold protection, chemical resistance. Steel-toe boots. The employer shall ensure that each affected employee uses protective footwear when working in areas where there is a danger of foot injuries due to falling or rolling objects, or objects piercing the sole, or when the use of protective footwear will protect the affected employee from an electrical hazard such as static, discharge, or electric shock hazard that remains after the employer takes other necessary protective measures. Open toe in sandals are not permitted in the production areas. Resistant footwear. Slip-resistant footwear is a type of safety shoes. Non-slip footwear is designed to prevent wearers from tripping, slipping, falling on a wet, oily, or otherwise slick surface. Slip-resistant footwear is required for all employees working in the seafood processing industries. Open toe in sandals are not permitted in the production areas. If you're doing these activities, baking or frying, battery charging, deep tank operations, fiberglass installation, irritating chemicals, sewing, then you might be exposed to chemical splashes, extreme heat cold, sharp or rough edges. Please use the following PPE: vest, jacket coveralls, bodysuit, rain gear, apron, welding letters, abrasion cut resistance. If you're doing these activities, building maintenance, construction, logging, utility work, then you might be exposed to working from heights of 10 feet or more, working near water. Please use the following PPE: fall arrest, restraint personal flotation devices. Safety vest. Employees exposed to public vehicular traffic shall be provided with and shall wear warning vests or other suitable garments marked with or made of reflectorized or high visibility material. Smocks must be worn over street clothes and kept closed within production areas. All street clothing must be covered by smocks. Clean smocks will be worn at the start of each day. Smocks must be replaced when heavily soiled. Smocks must be removed and hung in designated areas when using the bathrooms, while on break, and leaving the building. Clothing that is not permitted: no ripped or torn pants and shirts, no shorts or capris, no tank tops, halter tops, and tops with bare shoulders, No loose clothing around machinery. Sunscreen. Working outdoors poses special hazards for outdoor workers who must protect themselves against heat, sun exposure, and other hazards. If doing these activities, cleaning, mixing, painting, fiberglass installation, compressed air or gas operations, pouring, then you might be exposed to irritating dust or particulate, irritating or toxic gas vapor. Please use the following PPE. These types of work activities might be performed without the use of PPE. Please contact your supervisor. Respiratory. Millions of workers are required to wear respirators in various workplaces throughout the United States. Respirators protect workers against insufficient oxygen environments, harmful dust, fogs, smokes, mists, gases, vapors, and sprays. These hazards might cause cancer, lung impairment, diseases, or death. If doing these activities, generator, ventilation fans, motors, sanding, punch or brake presses, use of conveyors, then you might be exposed to loud noises, loud work environment, noisy machine tools, punch or brake presses. Please use the following PPE. This type of work activities might be performed without the use of PPE. Please contact your supervisor. Ear protection. Employers shall make hearing protectors available to all employees exposed to an 8-hour time-weighted average of 85 decibels or greater at no cost to the employees. Hearing protectors shall be replaced as necessary. Replacement PPE. If you run out of PPE or your PPE gets damaged, please bring your worn out or damaged PPE to the safety person or the manager to get replacement of PPE.